So, I'm Andy. Nice to see y'all. For today's video, I wanted to talk about anxiety. I'm mostly about managing it and working through it. Lately, I've been having a lot of trouble with my own anxiety, and I personally felt like I wanted a list of tools that I could use where, in a moment of anxiousness and panic, I can kind of pick from and implement those tools and help me work through it. Everything I'm about to say is from my own personal experience. I'm not professional or anything, but this is just what's helped me. Maybe you'll find some of these things to be useful to you. Basically, don't sue me if you have a panic attack. So the first few techniques I want to talk about are more for in the moment of heightened anxiety. Like your brain just shuts down and you're just running amok, like you don't have a lot of control over your thoughts or whatever is happening to you. Most of the things that help me when I'm like this are grounding techniques. So when I feel panicky, I feel trapped inside my head. No matter what's going on around me, it's like I'm blind to whatever's happening, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, all these things. So with the grounding techniques, I like to think of it as sensory, so you can focus on one of the five senses, see, smell, taste, hear, and feel. The one that helps me out the most is seeing. Usually I just ask myself, what do I see? And I answer that question, and I do nothing else. It's pretty much giving myself this super basic task that you can do anywhere, whatever, and just saying, okay, what do I see? I see a blank wall, I see my bed, I see a window, I see the trees outside the window, I see the sky, I see a cloud, etc., etc. You just keep listing all that off. It helps you hyper-focus back into reality and what is tangibly around you, rather than being inside your head. I also like to focus on what I can feel, and specifically what I feel like in my body, like what's going on. Mostly I like to focus on my heartbeat, and I like to just feel it beating. When I have a panic attack, I hyperventilate, so if I'm focusing on my breath and it's short of breath, I'm like, oh no, am I gonna start hyperventilating? Oh my god, and then it gets worse. So I like to focus on my heartbeat instead, and that just kind of helps me, and I can feel it, and I can feel it beating, and then I can kind of recognize it and kind of slow it down easier than I can slow down my own breathing. Another method that falls under the sensory experience is muscle use and just being physically active or doing something with my body. When you're nervous and worrying and panicking, it's a lot of energy going on and there's not a lot of outlets, so I think it kind of tends to run around in your mind. So using your muscles and being physically active helps a lot to get that energy out. And I think explosive exercises tend to be the best use of getting that energy out. So push-ups, sprinting, tossing a tennis ball against a wall as hard as you can, things like that. Whenever I get panicky, I need to do something, especially with my hands. I tend to grip really hard. So what I tend to do is I'll pinch my arm, or I'll bite my mouth, my lips, and the inside of my cheeks and things like that. I know that's a bad habit, and I know that's not healthy to take it out on myself. It's helpful in the moment, but I don't like doing it overall. And so I wanted to say that an alternative to that is doing those exercises like push-ups or running or anything like that. I think it's the same thing. You're using your muscles and getting that sensory outlet, but you're doing it in a healthier way. But I wanted to point that out in case you struggle with the same issue, just so you know there are other options that provide the same result, but are healthier in the long run. Two other techniques that I like to use, especially in a panicky state, is I like to do gratitude. So if I have a lot of negativity, like anger or just sadness or whatever, about a situation especially, I like to list off things I'm thankful for. I have one memory of me just angrily being like, I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for that, I'm also thankful for this, and I'm very lucky to be here and doing this. It was kind of funny. And then it was just the tone, it made me laugh too, because it was angry gratitude, and it's just such a dissonance that it was just kind of funny, and it kind of lightened me up, and I felt better afterwards. And that one's nice because you can be thankful for anything. The basics, it always comes down to, I am thankful that I can breathe air. I'm thankful that I am on Earth. I am thankful that I exist. I'm thankful for chocolate ice cream. Anything that, like that. There's so many things you can just like randomly get into, and as you list off the more vague things that don't really matter, then you kind of like zoom in and be like, oh, I'm thankful for this person in my life. I'm thankful for this talent that I have, or more meaningful things. It all kind of comes together. The last in the moment technique that I have is ruminations. So I noticed that when I have a negative state of mind, I can have negative ruminations, which will just be me repeating a phrase over and over and over again. For example, in my head, if I'm super angry, my brain stops working and I'm just hating on myself, I'll just be like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. I just repeat, on repeat. So I took inspiration from that actually, and I tried to flip it to become positive ruminations. So for example, if I'm hating on myself, I would flip I hate you to I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And it's kind of like the gratitude list. If I was really angry, I would just say that angrily over and over in my head, because I didn't have to think about it. You're just saying it over and over again, and then it's kind of the same energy, but you're saying different words. And then eventually, as that anger calms down, that's idea is what you're left with. And it's like, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And then it's like, okay, we're fine. And then that's what's like, that phrase is what's sticking in your head because you've thought of nothing else for the last minute. So positive ruminations, I guess some people would call them mantras, whatever kind of works. Yeah. So these next ones that I came up with, I tend to do when I'm feeling more so worried, but I'm not fully panicking. So these are more, I guess, preventative kind of measures against my anxieties. Some things I like to do is if I'm just feeling down, I'll turn on a YouTube positive affirmations kind of playlist. It sounds hokey, and I think they're hokey. The only time I ever listen to them is when I just feel really negative. Because when you search positive affirmations on YouTube, like the first 10 results are just like stock businessman voice being like, I am the champion of my own life. Like they have this inflection and it just sounds so cheesy, and they're like easy to make fun of and laugh at. So that kind of raises the spirits, but like even as you keep listening to it and as you keep hearing it, like eventually you get really into it. You're like, I am the champion of my own life. Another one is listening to YouTubers or podcasts or people that you just like them, that have a good mindset and put you in a really positive mindset. A couple people I really like are Rowena Sai, and I like Don't Keep Your Day Job podcast. Oh, I also just found Heinz, or Hindsight. I always think of that quote or advice where it's like, oh, you're the culmination of like the 5 most people you spend time with or who you surround yourself with. I can't really name 5 people that I want to spend that much time with around here. So I got to thinking like, oh, I guess you don't need like face-to-face connection to do that. That also applies to what media you consume and what people you like spend time with by what social medias you take in, or YouTube or TV shows or podcasts that you listen to. So instead of physically surrounding yourself with people you want to be like, you can digitally surround yourself with people you want to be like and mindsets and habits that you want to pick up. Another thing that helps anxiety is talking to someone. People say it all the time, and I'm really bad at it. I hate reaching out to people. I don't hate it, I'm just like nervous to reach out to people and be like, hi, I'm sad, talk to me. It makes me a little more uncomfortable, and I feel kind of like, it's you know, vulnerability. Everybody kind of understands that it's uncomfortable. If I do open up to someone about anxieties that I'm recently having, it's someone I really trust, and that tends to be a friend who also has anxiety and someone who just naturally kind of gets it. Usually after you have a good conversation about it, you can kind of vent and you can thank that person for listening, and then whatever you were worrying about just kind of goes away. Like it's weird. It like erases all the worries. It's amazing. Another thing you can do to help with anxiety is being creative. I think this one is very similar to the physical activity option. However, instead of getting that energy out by running or whatever, this one you are getting that energy out through creating something. So yeah, painting, drawing, writing, singing, anything like that. You can express your thoughts, get all those things in your head, you can just get it out through self-expression. Because art can be a great way of expressing yourself and communicating what you're feeling. So having those strong emotions and not knowing what to do with it, voicing that through creation is very, very healing, very helpful. And you know, you don't have to like create a masterpiece or anything, you just do it as an activity. It's very different from like art class or music class. You're just doing the thing for the sake of doing the thing. I don't like to sing in front of people or perform or anything like that. However, if I'm by myself, I do like to sing. A lot of times I will put on some of my favorite bands and just sing along to the lyrics, and it helps me kind of occupy my brain with something else. So I always find that very helpful. I also really like to draw. A lot of times I will just doodle in my sketchbook, and it'll just be a little comic-y doodle with, usually I like write what I'm thinking and like a little expression, usually just like a little cartoon of me or something, like dealing with my situation or being worried or whatever I'm feeling in that moment. I kind of just like draw how I'm feeling. And doing that helps me kind of organize and even visualize my thoughts and where I'm at. It helps me see through that situation. Same thing with writing, just getting that out in a visible, tangible space. It's very helpful to do that. Also, when you are very angry, just vent writing, vent art. It's great. You can just angrily like stab your pen into the paper and like and it is also kind of physical. You can like really grip that pen and just, it helps. If you want to be extra about it, you can like do that vent art and then burn it. Usually I just put it in my sketchbook and then like hide it in the depths of the pages and like never go back to that. Alrighty, and I have one final piece of advice for anxiety, and I think this is the most helpful but also the hardest to do. And this one is to just sit with yourself, all these situations that you've done in the past, how you've reacted in the past, things that you aren't super happy with, and kind of reflect on all those anxious moments that you've had. I get very hard on myself, and I tend to feel a lot of shame around my anxiety and how I tend to behave when I'm anxious. So it's really hard to do, it's hard to face, but it is really helpful to look back on any kind of trends. That way you can see what kind of triggers your anxiety, what works for your anxiety, what helps you feel better. So say there was a time where you were really worried and that worry turned into a panic attack. You can look back and see if there was anything in particular that made that worry worse and caused that panic attack. And for the future, you will then know, hey, I tend to have panic attacks when I'm in a situation like this, or when this happens, or when I feel like this. I know it can be kind of weird, but you can be anxious. You can work through anxieties and that feeling. Like, it's not bad to be anxious. It's a normal emotion. Some people just tend to be more anxious than others. So, if you tend to be more anxious, like me, then it's figuring out how to work with yourself and how to work with your anxieties and those feelings and figure out how to keep going even through those emotions. That's the hardest one, but most helpful. Well, that is everything. Those are all the techniques that I have used in my life that I found very helpful. I hope that you can implement some of them, or some of them are new to you, or you recognize you do a few of those things. So yeah, if you found it helpful, just like, comment, let me know. If you have any other ideas or techniques that you use for your own anxiety, I think it would be really helpful if you comment and we can kind of share that and kind of build onto the list, build onto the tools and such. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.